Joe, we've all known you for a long time. We have heard you sing the blues many a Mondays and many an overnights. You are singing a different tune today, buddy. Where is your level of belief and euphoria with the Jets?
Major. I'm delirious right now. This team is one of the best young teams in football. I mean, let's tell it like it is, okay? You know, first of all, Green Bay stinks. Green Bay is not a good football team. The Jets did to the Packers yesterday what a better football team should do to an inferior football team. And that's exactly what they did. They certainly defensively, they dominated them. The offense took a little time to get themselves going. They eventually did in the second half. They wore them down. The offensive line wore them down. They ran the ball down their throat in the second half of this football game. But this team is one of the best young teams in the game. They have some elite players here. Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall. I mean, this
Tucker.
Team. Right. Elijah Vera-Tucker. These guys are all pro-type players, and this team is on their way.
You know, Joe, I was just watching Quinnen Williams, who we were just talking about. I was watching the tape. He was dominating Green Bay's offensive line.
No question.
He had Royce Newman, who was the right guard, on skates. I mean, it was just a bull rush.
He abused him.
And the kid's feet are planted, and he's just sliding backwards. It's unbelievable how good Quinnen Williams is playing. And when you have that interior push, it just makes it so much easier to disrupt the quarterback, and the second level and the third level have so much more. It's not even a question of how do they get better, but how did they get this good this quickly? Because it didn't feel like this last year. It's unbelievable.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, the last two drafts have been the motherlode for Joe Douglas, and I was down on Douglas for the Becton, Denzel Mims, Ashton Davis draft. But I forgive him because this team is freaking loaded, and what he's done in the last 2 years with these young players, and I want to give credit to some of the veterans. Dwayne Brown has been oh my God! Look how the offensive line has completely changed since Dwayne Brown, got on the field the last couple weeks. Some of the veterans, C.J. Mosley, who was all over the field yesterday, as was Quincy Williams. Oh my God! All right, suddenly playing like the linebacker he was in Baltimore. Corey Davis, who's their best receiver right now. Let's be real. How many big catches has Corey Davis made? Every game they've won, Corey Davis has come up with big catches for the Jets so far.
That's true.
Sheldon Rankins, how big has he been? He had a big sack yesterday. That defensive line is playing dominant football. And the secondary, led by Sauce, and even the guys like Eccles, who made a big play to break up a touchdown in the end zone yesterday, and Michael Carter, the defensive back, another guy that Douglas drafted. I mean, these guys this is a big-time team. I mean, maybe I know it's only 6 games.
No, Joe, it's not. I mean, listen, I know that on occasion, we, as a Jets fan and as Jets fans, we do one of two things. We overreact to the negative,
right.
or we sometimes overreact to the positive.
Right.
I got to be honest with you, Joe. I said this to Tiki to start the show. For all the reasons you just mentioned, I don't need to state them again. I don't want to be redundant. But the Jets are legitimate, and he's not there yet, and I don't know if he will be, but he's not there yet. But they're a legitimate quarterback play away from being a legitimate Super Bowl dark horse. Why not?
No, I'm not. Look, right now, the only teams in the league that I can say definitively are better than the Jets are Buffalo, Philadelphia, maybe Kansas City. I'm not sold on the Chiefs. The Chiefs missed Tyreek Hill in a big way.
I agree with that.
Okay? In a big way. Let's be real about it. Dallas is pretty good. Let me see what Dallas is when Dak comes back. They got a very good defense. They can run the football. I got to give the Giants credit. They're 5-1. I don't think the Giants have the talent the Jets have, but they're a tremendously coached football team. Outside of that, I mean, this is a mediocre league. We talked about it. How many of these big brand name teams aren't that good?
Pittsburgh.
Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, the Ravens, the Rams, the 49ers.
Joe,
Joe,
what do you think about the Patriots right now?
I want to kick there, you know why.
But how do you assess their talent? Do you think they're a good team?
What I think is as long as Bill Belichick is the head coach, they're a dangerous team. Are they a championship caliber team anymore? No. But, I mean, look what they did the last 2 weeks. Now, the Lions aren't any good, but the Lions were scoring 40 points a game against everybody, and Bill shuts them out. I mean, the Cleveland's not any good. Cleveland stinks. Okay, let's tell them like it is.
They don't know how to win, even if they're good and because they have talent, they just don't know how to win.
They don't know how to win. I don't think Stefanski's any kind of a head coach. So Bill went in there yesterday and did what he should have done against them. But look, you got to give him credit. Bailey Zappi, I mean, unbelievable. So, but that's 2 weeks away yet. And I never wanted to win a game as bad as I wanted. Not just beat them. I mean, I want blood against the Patriots.
I hear you, and that's coming in a couple weeks. But
I want blood.
Joe, let me take a larger snapshot of the AFC East, because it's clearly the Buffalo Bills who are just dominant. However, even when they play bad, they look good. So it's the Bills,
right?
But are the Jets fully second? Right, or are they kind of just muddling around with the rest of the muddlers? You know what I mean,
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, they're better than mine. I understand Tua didn't play last week, but the Dolphins are coming back to reality. You know, all the Dolphin fans, every year the Dolphins are winning 12 games. Mike McDaniel, oh my God, this guy, we got rid of a coach that was winning games for us for 2 years, and now you bring this guy in and he's Don Shula. Well, not so much anymore. You know, the Jets kicked the you-know-what out of them already, okay? I think there's only a handful of teams in the AFC that are better than the Jets right now. And it's crazy that I'm saying that, but I really believe it.
But it's not crazy. And with Joe Benigno, of course, with us here on Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. It's not crazy, Joe. What you have to do, and it's very hard to do this, admittedly, you have to divorce I don't mean you, I mean all of us. Divorce yourselves from previous
You're right.
thoughts about this franchise that's tortured us so much, and evaluate them in the now. And if you evaluate them from 1 through 53, what you just said about their status in the AFC is 100% right. It's irrefutable. They got talent everywhere, Joe.
Everywhere.
Oh,
everywhere.
My goodness. Wow. Where are you on Zach Wilson? He makes some big throws. Mm-hmm. He's got some moxie. He's obviously a really good athlete. A little conservative with the play calling. When it's time for him to let it rip and score 35 points in a shootout when he has to, is he going to get it done this year?
Here's what I think about him. Just continue not to make the big mistake. You know, if he's going to throw 18, 20 passes a game, we're going to win. If Zach Wilson is throwing 18, 20, that kind of range of passes a game, that means the Jets are winning football games.
Yeah, but Joe, I agree, short term, but you didn't draft him second overall to throw 18 passes a game. So on big picture, do you think that what we've seen so far, Zach Wilson has it?
Well, here's what I will say. I think that I'd like to see some different play calling with Zach. I think he's got tremendous mobility. There should be designed runs for this guy, number one. Number two, let's get him out of the pocket. The biggest play he made yesterday, and you're right, I heard you say it earlier, if he should have had it out there, it should have been a touchdown to Davis. But on that play where he threw the ball, the 40-something yard pass down the sideline, he was out of the pocket on that play. They got to get him out of the pocket more. They have him in the pocket too much. And this kid's got a lot of mobility. That's what I need to see. More out of the pocket, throwing the football, and designed runs for him, because he can run the football and be effective running it.
I think they're nervous health-wise, and you
can't be.
I know you can't be, but I kind of would be, and I don't think about it as often as I did prior to him getting back and looking healthy for 2 games. But I would worry about him running around there. Just something bad could happen, and who knows where that leads. But move forward. The Denver game. I don't want to say it's a hard game because Denver is underperforming this year, but it is in Denver. It's just back-to-back.
Right. 3-0 on the road.
Yeah, relatively long trips, right? You go to Green Bay, you come back. Now you got to go out to Denver and Mile High, where that air makes it. It's a different animal to play up there. The Denver game, they are the dog. They're the underdog by 3.
Yeah.
At this point,
Denver hasn't even played tonight. That could change.
True, but should they be favored against teams like Denver, the mediocre teams in the NFL?
Well, Tiki, I'll say this. I don't want them to be favored. Let the NFL continue to look at the Jets like the you-know-what on the bottom of the shoe that they've been for years. I want to see that, because let them continue to just think the Jets are just maybe they're lucky what they're doing. Great. Let the Broncos be favored, and let me see them win tonight, because if they don't win tonight, I doubt they're going to be favored in that game. You're going to see the line change probably if they lose tonight to the Chargers. So Russell Wilson's not the same guy. And I'll say this again. We saw what they did to an inferior team, okay, an inferior Packer team. The Jets were better than the Packers, and they did what they should do against a team they're clearly better than. And I look at the game against Denver the same way. Go in there, you're better than the Broncos, okay? They're having all kinds of trouble scoring. Russell Wilson's not the guy he was in Seattle.
Nope.
He's banged up. This coach, Paul Hackett's son, stinks. They're already getting ready to run him out of Denver. I mean, there's no reason they can't go in there and stick it to them. There's no reason.
I agree. We're talking to Joe Benigno here on The Fan. Joe, big picture for you. Now, you were here a long time, right? and a lot of it was a mixed bag. I mean, the Yankees were dominant. The Mets were down. Then the Mets came back up. The Knicks had a great run in the 90s, blah, blah, blah. Rangers, obviously. When you look at the New York sports landscape, led by our football teams amazingly now, and of course the Yankees tonight, and Cohen's got money, so he'll do something this offseason.
He will.
KD's in Brooklyn. The Knicks have, at least a pretty competitive team, and the Rangers are really good. Like, can you make the case now that we could be entering a decade that is almost unmatched in recent history with all of our teams?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty broad statement.
Oh, that's why I'm asking. I'm asking.
I mean, look, I guess it's possible. I mean, everything you said is correct. Okay, I'd still like to see more from the Knicks. I know they got some young players on the team, and I like Thibodeau as the coach and all of that. But I got to see more. So I don't know where they're exactly at this point in time.
Yep.
I do think Brooklyn is going to be a force this year if they all stay healthy, and Ben Simmons can stay on the floor and just don't shoot the basketball. I think they can be a very effective team. The Rangers are obviously a very good team. I mean, I know it's only 3 games into it, but they're to me they're a cup contender. Whether they win it or not is another matter.
Mm-hmm.
But look, it's a good time right now. It's a great time in sports in New York. There's no doubt, and especially for the 2 football teams, no question about it.
If you're on the I'm not even going to say it, but if I almost have to say it to actually give you the question, but I don't want to.
Go ahead.
Let's say you're on the air tomorrow, right? And things don't go well in the Bronx tonight.
Right.
Because I said, aside from the obvious Game 5, Yankees are done. To me, this is a referendum on Boone as well. Now, I also know that he got the extension. He's certainly competent, and it's a collaboration. But the myriad mistakes with the pen, I just don't know how you win for a month straight with Aaron Boone doing some of the things that he's done. And you're on the air tomorrow, Yankees lose, you call him for his head?
I'm surprised he survived this long. To be very honest with you, B, I got to tell you, I really am. I mean, this team's got to get to a World Series at some point. Mm-hmm. You go crap out against the Guardians, okay, the Ians. I like to call them the Cleveland Ians because what a joke that their name is not what it used to be, but that's for another story and maybe somewhere else. But with that said, you lose this series to Cleveland, I mean, how does he survive? I'm seriously. How do you survive? How many years in a row you made the playoffs and crapped out? How many times?
Every year he's been here.
Every year you've been there. You haven't been to the World Series. Joe, say whatever you want about Joe Girardi. He won your World Series in 2009. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. I understand the Yankees, it's only one. Oh, what's one? Well, that's the only one you won in 22 years now.
Yep.
So I don't know how Boone continues to stay there. And how long does Cashman get? Does Cashman have a lifetime job?
I've been talking about that for a while. Joe, it's first of all, and I know some Yankee fans don't even want to hear this. Brian Cashman is very competent at his job. So let's be fair.
Yes.
Okay.
He's been very good.
I know you know that. But there's also this incredible trust and relationship with Steinbrenner. So you can make the case that that his time has ended here as well. And I've said that. I respect him, but it is what it is. But they don't seem inclined to move on from anybody. They're just kind of status quo. But it's not going to matter, Joe, because the Yankees are going to win 7-2 tonight, Joe.
Yeah, I think they'll win tonight. I don't think they'll beat Houston, but I do think they'll win tonight. But I think something you got to remember, too, and we see it this year in baseball, 300-win teams in the National League, they're all gone. Mm-hmm. Who had the Padres playing the Phillies in the National League Championship Series? It is very, very difficult to win the World Series anymore with all the rounds of playoffs that you have to get through now in baseball.
Yeah.
And one thing that really bothers me, why the hell are they playing 162 games when you got all these playoffs at the end of the year? To me,
money, Joe. That's why.
That's it.
It's all money. But but what you're saying, Joe, and you're right, because I was talking about this weekend with my buddies. All of this effort for these teams that try to win their divisions. Yeah. The Braves, the Mets. Right. And I'm not saying it's not like football. It's not like, you got to play an extra, 3 or 4 series, and so it just beats you up. It's different. But all of this effort by the Braves and the Mets to win the damn division cost them ultimately. And once they got to the postseason, right? Both of them knocked out after one round.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are a little bit different, but the Padres did the same thing. Like, look, we're going to chill. Go ahead. You can win by 22 games.
Right.
Guess what? We're going to get ourselves right and healthy, and when it comes to the postseason, we're going to kick your ass. They destroyed the Dodgers.
Yeah, that
they
was
did.
impressive.
Destroyed them.
Right? And they beat them 14 out of 19 times during the season, the Dodgers.
So they knew. Knew.
Right.
They knew that the division didn't matter.
Right.
And all year long, all we've ever talked about with the Mets and other teams as well, you got to win the division. You got to win. No, you don't, dude. Mm-hmm. No, you don't. The Phillies were third in the division,
no,
and they
right.
looked amazing this past weekend.